I'm going to show you a breakdown tutorial of the ASAP Rocky Pacsun collab video. And so this was done by a mixed media artist. He goes by e.shelkovi on Instagram. Check out his work. He has super cool work, but I'm basically going to break down one of his effects. This effect, it does take some time, so just warning you, if you're trying to do an effect that's really quick on a video to just get done with a video, this is probably not the effect for you. But if you want to take some time and create a really cool effect, then this video is definitely for you. So I'll stop talking and we'll get right into the video. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to have your clip. This is the clip I selected. And so this is what we're going to try and recreate here. So the first thing that we're going to start out doing is just duplicate this layer, and then we're going to make a mask. So we're going to rotoscope this out. So once we're in After Effects, here's our clip, and we're just going to double click on it, and then we are going to do a rotoscope out here. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotoscope everything but the trees in the background. It doesn't have to be exact here because we're going to work with it in paper and cut it out anyway. And so you're just going to want to make a rough mask, and you're going to want to do this throughout the whole video. Alright, so now the rotoscope is done. This is what it's looking like. So now that we have this, what we're going to do is replace the background with that kind of construction paper here. So we're going to go out of our software now and create that texture. Alright, so I have my piece of construction paper here, and it is green to match the background. And so I have a couple tools as well. So I have an X-Acto knife, some tape, and then also scissors. These are going to be used to create different textures. So the X-Acto knife, what I'm going to do is just make cuts on the paper, and it's just going to add a little bit of depth to the paper. And then the scissors, I'm going to use those to cut out different shapes of the construction paper, and then I will use the tape to tape those back onto the paper. And I'm just kind of repeat all of those to create different kinds of textures. So now I'm gonna cut the construction paper here, and what I'm gonna do is use this cutout piece, and I'm just gonna make smaller cutout pieces and then start taping them. So here's a piece that I want to add, and so what I'm going to do is just grab some tape, and I'm going to tape it down to the original texture. And so I'm basically just going to repeat all of these and just create a texture with just a bunch of cuts, a bunch of different pieces of paper, and then tape. So here's the final texture. I decided to add some folds to have a little more texture, but once that's done, you're just going to want to scan it and get that back to your computer. Alright, so now that we've created the texture, this is what we're kind of working with here. So what we did here is we chose this green one just to match with the background. We're going to have to do a little bit of some color grading just to kind of match it up even better. But what we're going to do here is just kind of rotate it a bit, scale it up. And so we are going to do it around here probably. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of mess around with the kind of texture here and go 2 frames and have it last 2 frames. And then what I'm going to do here is move the texture a little more, you know, kind of scale it up. Get something that you like with the background. So it's like this, then 1, 2, and then what we'll do is we'll just manipulate all of these to something that we kind of like. So I like that there. So that's what we have so far, and what we're going to want to do is kind of match up this color with the green in the video clip. And so we're just going to go to color, and it looks like it's not as green, so we're going to put a little purple, and then it has that kind of blue tint, so we'll kind of mess with that, take down the saturation just a bit. And so the second part here, what we're going to do is kind of create these little squares of clips from the video. So I'm going to go to the music video that I took it from. This is Alone by Night Lavelle. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of go through here and find some clips that I like. Alright, so I found 3 clips here. This is the first clip that we have. just a slow-mo, and this is good because it'll add some depth, because this is kind of a medium range shot, and then something like this, a close-up, we'll get a close-up of some of his facial features. I tend to do that, and it tends to look pretty good, so I'm gonna do that. And then I have another one, just one that I really like the background in, and it'll kind of match the background of the other clip. And then one that's kind of him in the ATV just driving. And so what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure that all of these colors, you know, match the color scheme, because with this collage, you know, if you have, you know, all of these the same colors, you know, you don't have anything that's too different, there's a pretty consistent color scheme, and you want to make sure that you keep that throughout the whole video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this first and just go to the opacity and just kind of mask out what kind of shape I want. So for this one, I'm going to just do his mouth, and then you want to make sure that feather is at 0, and then just kind of move it to the spot you kind of want it at. So something like this. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of do that with the other shapes and kind of mess around with it till it's something that I like. So this is what I ended up here with. I have the mouth, kind of the close-up clip here, then the ATV one, and then also the shot with just the trees in the background. So this is what it's looking like now. It's pretty good, but you could tell here that there's this little outline here with the colors that kind of match the background. So instead of kind of doing this gradient color here, what I'm going to do is find a clip from the video, and I'm just going to kind of zoom into the background, and I will kind of create it into a shape. So I'm actually going to use this clip again, and I'm going to use the background. I like those colors there, and I think they will work well for the background kind of outline. So what I'm going to do here is, all right, so I'm going to use the background here, and what I'm going to do is just kind of mask out a shape that I want. Then take down the feather, and then it kind of has that background now. So I'm going to do the same thing here, but just do it with the other clip here. So I'm just going to duplicate it, delete the mask, bring it over here, and then just create an outline. So now it's something like this, and we are pretty much done here. So I might just add one more thing here just to kind of sell that background leaving. I'm gonna mess around with the rotation here so I can get another look. Maybe something like this. And so that's pretty good right now. And so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to click this export frame button, and then I'm going to find a folder that I want to save this to. Alright, so now that I have the folder, what I'm going to do is move 2 frames to the right, and I'm just going to do that by clicking the arrow key on my keyboard and then export a frame, and then I'm just going to do that for however long the clip or the collage is. So once you finish exporting all the frames you want, what you're going to want to do is print them out, and you're going to want to make sure you print out 2 copies. So that will total double of however many frames you print out. Now that you've printed out your frames, you're going to have 2 copies of the same frames. And so what we're going to start by doing is we're going to start by cutting out the subject on the green background. The reason we're going to do this is so we could add depth to the frame. So it's going to basically look like it is cut out, and it's going to have this edge of the actual subject, and it's going to look like it's in front of the actual green. Once you finish cutting out the background, what you're going to want to do is make sure you save that piece. You're going to want to save that piece because we're going to mess around with the square clips that we cut out in the background. So save that and then move on to the next one. So this is an idea of what it's going to look like. It's basically going to be overlapped over the second layer, and it's going to add that depth. So now we're going to do the same thing that we just did to this frame, but we're going to do it for all the ones with the green background. Now that we've cut out all the backgrounds, we're going to just place it over, and this is kind of what it's going to look like. And so we're going to now start out by cutting out the different squares that were in the background. So these are the different clips that we put on for the collage, and so what we're going to do is cut those out and then glue them back on to add that texture and depth. So a key part is remembering what cutouts go with which frame, and so when you cut out the background, make sure you remember which frame it goes with. So here you can see I'm going to be cutting out each different square, and then I'm going to glue them back on to the corresponding frame. I'm going to do that for all of the clips, and then we're going to start working with the frames without the green background. So now that the frames are all glued on to this clip, we're going to overlay the top layer here, and this is kind of what we're going to have. And so we're going to have to do the same thing for the frames before this, and so we're just going to put that to the side and grab the other one. And so I haven't glued on these squares yet, and so I'm going to glue on those squares, and then we're going to start working on the frames without the green background. So now what we're going to do is cut out those squares of the frames that still have the regular background. So I'm going to cut these out and then get back to you once I cut them all out. So now that all our shapes are cut out, what I'm going to do is glue them onto the bottom sheet of paper. So that top sheet where we were cutting out all the shapes, you're going to want to put that to the side, and then you're going to want to glue the shapes onto that bottom sheet. So now we're pretty much done. I'm just going to add a little bit of a finishing touch, and what I'm going to do is just grab a pen, and then I'm just going to outline the subject in the ATV. So I'm going to do this for all the frames, and then after we should be done. Once that's all done, we're just going to scan this and get this back to our computer. Alright, so now that we're in Premiere with our scans uploaded, what we're going to do here is start placing them. So to get more space, I'm just going to nest all these top clips, and then I'm going to drag over the first scan here. Then I'm going to begin by repositioning it. Alright, so now that the first frame is positioned, what we're going to do is move 2 frames to the right and just chop, and then we're going to do that for 6 of our frames that we printed out. And then we're just going to go to the second one, move it, and then we're going to do this for all of the frames, and then I'm going to get back to you when I finish that. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is just add some color to this. So I'm just going to nest the whole thing, and then what I'm going to do is go to the color. Okay, so now that we colored it, and this is what the clip is looking like here, what I'm going to also do now is add a little more. So what I'm going to add here is just an overlay, and I like to add this overlay a lot to my footage. It's just kind of this film border kind of overlay, and I got this from Tiny Tape's website. I do have a link that I do get commission for if you guys do decide to use it. So if you would like something like this, use the link down below in the description. And so that's the effect right there. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, check out my recent video on how to do a coloring book effect. I am also finishing up a free paint a pack, so if there's anything you want to see in that, any animations or anything, drop that down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.